Good morning, UC Bearcat fans. It's James Ernest and Mark Fightmaster with UC Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Grueling Truth Radio Network. We're excited to talk up rivalry week. Mark, so tell us a little bit about rivalry Miami week.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just going to let you keep saying that because that's too much for me. Bearcats have the Red Hawks on Saturday. I believe I saw, is it a 3:30 kickoff?
Yep, 3:30.
Yeah, so and it's at Nippert, correct?
Yes.
So we get that all set up. The thing is, it's difficult to talk about what's going to happen. Miami played all of 3 games last year, and and we could say what the defensive trend was for those 3 games, but does it really matter? Because it was 3 games. What is important is the season's going to get started. And I know there's a lot of UC fans really chomping at the bit to get this going.
Definitely. Yeah, earlier in Fickell's press conference today, he talked about the last 4 games against Miami and how basically in the first one, he didn't think UC was as good as Miami, but they won. Okay. And then the next 2, that he felt they were as good, but we were losing at times and came back and won it. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting how, he openly admitted, he's like, in the first season, I didn't think we had as much talent as them. And then the other 2 years, just quite frankly, Miami was leading in several of those games, or if they weren't leading, it was close in, all 3 of the first games that they played.
Yeah, that's interesting for him to say that, and quite honestly, I don't think that's typical coach speak coming from him.
He's honest. Yeah.
Fickell's never been one that strikes me as one who does that coach speak, like, so.
Yeah, actually, I remember a couple of those games. I remember one of them. I ended up going over to a member of UC's media department, and I was like, hey, my condolences, and they still came back and won. And then the next year, and then the next year it was flooding at Paul Brown, and they still found a way to win. And the year after that, they just always find a way to win. Now, don't get me wrong, you got to give Miami credit. Coach Chuck Martin has done an amazing job of making the games extremely competitive. I know, we're looking at it this year, the rankings and all that, but, this game has always meant a lot to both teams.
Yeah, it does. And that's the thing, you said it's a rivalry. And, there is always going to be that, the intensity that comes with that rivalry. You look at all the great rivalries in sports. The Ohio State, Michigan, Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, all that. There is always an intensity that accompanies that. You go to basketball, you get Duke, North Carolina, all that, So there will be an intensity that comes with this game. It's just, I don't know. I just don't see it being much of a game.
I know what you mean. But, the crazy thing is they've been doing this since 1888. That just baffles me. That is an actual thing.
Yeah, well, it's the victory bell, that's what they're playing for, and it's it's important, and this is a long-standing rivalry, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. Come on, it's football.
Exactly. Football is always fun. The first game of the year is always important to, it's just so exciting getting back out there on the field, getting the players back into as a team. Now, the thing that interests me, which, obviously this number doesn't affect the game, but 58 and 59, that's how close the R word that you said, because I'm not going to try that again.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm just going to call it the R word now. So that the games have, 58 to 59. wow. I mean, that is just ridiculous how the teams, most people think it's all one-sided. Of course, the last so many years it's been UC, but there were times when it was all Miami for a while as well.
Yeah, absolutely. UC had its lean years. Now it's Miami's turn. It's cyclical, UC will, hopefully Miami will be able to come up to the level of UC, and we hope that UC doesn't drop, their level. So, that's one of the things about a rivalry, James, is, you play each other tough, you play each other close.
The nice thing for Miami is they're bringing back a lot of their 2019 team that won the MAC championship. I mean,
yeah, they really are.
They had a lot of the players back last year, but then they had some of their major players had injuries last year or just opted out. So, I mean, it is going to be, a good team. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand where you're coming from, where you're saying UC is just so darn talented that it should be one-sided. But I'm throwing it out there. I'm saying Miami is going to give them a bit of a game, and that it'll be like 21 to 22 to 42.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could see them giving them a game for a while. And I think that's what you're kind of talking about, because, with your final score, you get UC one big, relatively big. I think, I just don't think it's that close even, James. I just think that the quality of UC's athletes and their experience is going to take over, and I'm seeing something in the 49-7 range, with a UC win, somewhere there. We'll see. I mean, maybe Miami puts up 2 scores, but
we'll because I agree with you. UC's defense is amazing. However, there was, and I know you love this team I'm about to bring up. They played Miami and they played UC in the same season a couple seasons ago, and Miami was actually beating them 5-0. We're not going to talk about the final score because, oh, my God, it got ugly. I mentioned that in front of Coach Chuck Martin the other day, and he's like, yeah, we don't talk about that. He's like, I'm like, but you were winning. He's like, no, let's not talk about that because with the final score. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. But I'm like, hey, at least on the positive side, you guys, for a little bit there had to feel like they really belonged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then obviously they found out the hard way, oh, gosh, no, you just made Ohio State mad. But for a while there, I would think they,
Yeah, well, talent always shines through. So that's the one thing that I see happening this weekend is that the talent is going to shine through. So, but hey, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good to get off the mat just to start the season, man. After last year.
Exactly. I mean, that after 27 days of being in camp, I mean, it's got to feel like Christmas morning when, for the coaches and the players, finally getting to unwrap the game of football as opposed to just doing practices and, the inter-squad and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always nice to hit somebody in a different colored jersey.
Yes.
A different colored helmet. It's, I mean, you can scrimmage all you want, but it's just not the same.
Do you think the rivalry game helps, though, with it, being the first game, to take the focus off of, maybe the players being worried about the hype, about the ranked 8th, ranked 10th, and maybe focus more back on the game?
It's a good question. And quite honestly, I will say it probably depends on how intense the players view this rivalry. Okay, if that makes sense. And let's look at Ohio State and the team up north. A couple of years back, they were 1-2 as they went into the last game of the season. I don't know if that adds something to the rivalry or what, like the buildup of an entire season. So I could see how playing them right away does, kind of loosens up the tension that could be coming with being ranked so high and being, in kind of rarefied air for a UC football team. So, it might be nice for the players to be able to focus strictly on this rivalry game. So we'll see.
So I think we're pretty much in agreement that UC is going to win. It's just the question is by how much and how intense. Obviously, with their strong defense, you're projecting very low scoring for Miami, very high scoring for UC.
Yep.
Definitely. So I mean, I see both sides because I do love some Miami football, and I really think they are also moving in the right direction. I think it's going to be more of Miami's going to start working their way up towards UC, and as opposed to UC falling down.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think it's going to be better for both teams, and it's going to be awesome for this rivalry.
So since we got that in agreement, let's talk about Miami football. And you're like, we're already talking about Miami football. No, I want to talk about the Dolphins. And you're like, well, how does the Dolphins relate to the UC show? That makes no dang sense. The Dolphins have nothing to do with college football. Yes, they do. Our running back from last year, Gerrid Doaks, had a heck of a game.
Yeah, he did. I mean, yardage-wise, it wasn't a ton of yards. But he ended up scoring 2 touchdowns and having a good, solid game. I'm looking to see if he. Do you know if he made the Dolphins today?
I'm not sure
because it was cut down day, but I'm not. Let's see here. Let me see. I just found an article real quick.
Yeah, because you're right. I didn't even think about that. I just assumed. Yeah.
They waived him, but he still had his moment of glory back here at Paul Brown
Stadium. Yeah, because I mean he had 16 carries, 56 yards. Okay, his 3.5 yards per carry could have been a little bit better, but he scored 2 touchdowns. It was a really cool first quarter. Because he didn't play him the rest of the game, which was weird. But I guess it's preseason, and they wanted to get other people in there and give them a look.
Yeah.
But it was just so cool, the fact that he was able to do that in front of his home crowd in Cincinnati.
Yeah, you're right. And it was. It was good. And he looked good. I mean, he did what he did for us. He didn't get as many breakaway runs. But, I mean, that's kind of going to happen when you're going up against NFL talent. I mean, to be honest, very rarely do we see 80-yard touchdown runs in the NFL, unless it's somebody like Barry Sanders or, one of them. So, but he played well. He played solid. It's a shame that he got waived. We'll see what happens. He may be one that can stick with the practice squad down there in Miami. I really don't know what their running back situation is. Or maybe there's another team that's looking at him. So we'll wish him the best there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say the nice thing is there are options out there for him, and we, like you said, we definitely wish him the best. But yeah, it was so cool being down at the game, and just it's not weird at the Bengals Stadium for people to cheer for the away team. I wish it was, but it's not. But it was cool that. As opposed to when they would cheer for the Dolphins, they'd end up they do the roll the hands thing and then UC. And so you could tell that they were cheering for the Dolphins. They were cheering for Gerrid, which was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the loyalty you get here in Cincinnati,
Definitely. Yeah, because, I mean, let's see. Based on, let's see. I know he definitely played. Yeah, he would have played in that rain game. 2 years ago. He went into that was Tuberville back then. Never mind, because I was going to say that season where all the games were at Paul Brown, but he would have been too young for that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, shoot. Actually, it's starting to make me feel old because I'm like, wasn't that just last year? And they're like, no, that wasn't last year. That was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Tell me about it, man.
Definitely. I mean, it's a good problem that I have that I'm like going, oh my gosh, I've been going down there covering UC, either scouting or for the show for 5, 6, 7 years. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, there are just so much great things going on with the season. We're we're very hyped up. I almost forgot. One of the things that I saw today that was cool was it's something to do with most season tickets sold.
Oh, okay.
In team history, I want to say that came through today. Yeah, season ticket record broken Let's see. Yep. Total season tickets, new season tickets sold. Basically, there are so much hype around the program, so much good vibes that, they're selling more tickets than ever.
Well, that's pretty sweet, man. I know that will make them more attractive to the Big 12, because I know that there have been some talks about, the Big 12 looking to replace Texas and Oklahoma when they bolt for the SEC, and I believe I saw today that UC was one of the teams they were talking about. Houston was one, but they took Houston off the table for some reason. So, but UC was still there. So maybe they're selling all these season tickets, will show the bigger conference that we belong.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think something like I think they should include Houston or maybe SMU. One of the two of them, because both, down in Texas. UC, of course, and UCF for and one other team. So have like 4 teams is what I would target for them to make up for the 2. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it'd be good to see. I think UC probably has an inside line, just because I can see the Big 12 wanting to expand into this general TV area. So, but we will see.
Sounds good. Well, any final thoughts before we let you go?
Nah, just, hey, it's time to enjoy the football season. Next time we get together, we'll be talking about a UC win.
So for our listeners, thank you for joining us on the UC Bearcats on the Prowl. It's been James Ernest and Mark Feitmaster.